Welcome to Critical Conversations, where we dive deep into the issues that matter most to you. I'm your host, Ricky Watson, and this week, we've got a packed show. First, we're going to be tackling one of the hottest topics right now, and that's the housing market in Chicago. From skyrocketing prices to the challenges of affordable living, we're going to explore what's really going on in the Windy City and how it impacts you, whether you're looking to buy, rent, or simply understand how to navigate this complex market. We've got insights that you do not want to miss. And then we're going to shift gears to the coaching corner, where we'll be discussing how to deal with imposter syndrome. In today's fast-paced world, it's more important than ever for us to stay grounded and focused on our goals, no matter what life throws your way. And then finally, I want you to stay tuned for Be Encouraged. It's a segment that's sure to uplift your spirit. We're going to be talking about what it means to chase your God-given dreams, reminding you that with faith, dedication, and courage, no dream is too big and no challenge is too great. This is Critical Conversations, so let's get started. And I want to welcome Michael Wandland tonight. So glad to have you, man.
Thank you for having me, sir.
So glad to have you. Let's have a seat. We're going to have a good talk.
Yes, sir.
Well, Michael, thank you for joining me today on Critical Conversations. Glad to have
absolutely.
you here.
Thank you for the invite. It's greatly appreciated.
Absolutely, man. Well, for the audience that may not know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, yeah, my name is Michael Wandland. I'm from the city of Chicago, born and raised. I'm a real estate agent and a general contractor out here. I specialize in residential remodeling, and I work with a lot of investors on the real estate side and people that are selling their home, moving, purchasing real estate. Okay. My intro to real estate was the construction. I've been self-employed for 8 years now, and, still rolling, still rocking.
Wow. Why has it been like 8 years since I've known you then, I think?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Now, how
sure.
did that transition for you from contracting what piqued your interest to get into real estate?
So since being a general contractor, I work with a lot of real estate investors that do flips. And so I ran into a couple out-of-state investors that wanted me to GC their projects. And I was finding properties for them, renovating them, and helping them sell it, but not getting a commission. There was a realtor making all the profit off of those deals. And I'm like, no way.
Gotcha.
I can do that. I can get those coins too. So I went right into it.
Absolutely.
Right into
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. With the housing market, the real estate market, the way it is always going up, is going down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where do you think we are right now?
We're actually in a really good space as far as interest rates and mortgages go for buyers.
Okay.
When the pandemic happened, everyone was at a nice 2-3%.
I remember that.
And I mean, everybody was moving, everybody was purchasing homes, and then it went up. I mean, people were at 8-9%. Mm-hmm. And so now we're going back down to where we're about 6%. So people are really more interested in purchasing now. Everybody's been kind of waiting for it to go back down. It'll probably never get back down to 2.5, 3, what people were getting back during the pandemic. But I think once people hear 5, it's going to be the Wild West again. Everybody's going to be back in the market. So now that we're getting closer to the low 6s, a lot of buyers are really getting back into it.
Gotcha. Now, for people that are looking to buy or people that are looking to sell, people that are not in this market, i.e. myself, you hear the lingo of it being a buyer's market, a seller's market. Is there some truth to that? And is there ever are we moving into a good time for people, or is it still a good time for investors?
It's actually been a seller's market for quite some time. And what determines whether it's a seller's market or a buyer's market is inventory. And so that's when there are more buyers than there is inventory to sell.
Gotcha.
So when there are more buyers than there are properties to buy, it's a seller's market because they can dictate the prices. And so we're still in the seller's market, and when interest rates go even lower, it's going to be even more of a seller's market.
Gotcha.
So I've been trying to encourage people, like, you want to get in now before later, because just because interest rates are going down, the prices are going to go up. Because if I can list at 300,000 and I have 5 people interested, now I can raise it up and I'll still have people interested. So the property that you can get at a lower price now, you can get it locked in, and when interest rates go down, you can refinance or things like that if you're uncomfortable with your interest rate. But once they go down, prices are going to go up.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you feel like buying typically tends to be like an emotional thing that people do?
Oh, absolutely.
How have you seen that affect the world post-pandemic? How do you feel like mentally and emotionally people have been when it comes to buying or selling?
Well, post-pandemic, we got hit with inflation pretty heavy.
Very much so.
So purchasing slowed down actually because people were in fear. And when people are in fear, they're going to buy less. So houses were actually sitting on the market a little longer, but because people weren't buying, they weren't selling either. So they weren't moving from their houses. So there was still low inventory for the buyers that were trying to buy. So the pandemic caused inflation, and inflation caused fear in everybody, and people's pockets were a little tighter.
Interesting. Now, you know me, so this fear thing I'm gonna probably come back to in just a second,
okay,
because I think it's kind of important. But in light of this upcoming election that's coming up, how do you feel like that's impacting the real estate market right now?
As far as the real estate market, everybody's trying to get the vote.
Right.
So they definitely are offering incentives and trying to make things look a little better. And I think it helps us as consumers, when we're in this time of election, because they're trying to impress us. So
Very true.
With that, we've seen gas prices going down. We're starting to see interest rates go down. And so, as a byproduct, we're benefiting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm making a circle back to this fear thing.
Yeah.
Do you think and how long you started working for yourself 8 years ago?
Right. 2016.
Were you working in this field at all before then? Or
prior to this, I was an analyst for banks. So JP Morgan Securities, which is the brokerage firm under the JP Morgan umbrella.
Okay.
So I was working with financial advisors, checking through their clientele, making sure, everybody was doing what they're supposed to on the anti-money laundering side of things.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay. Now, in the span since 2016 that you've been in this particular field,
yeah.
If fear was not a part of the equation at any point, at any time, how do you think the market would be affected if people just did not have fear when it came to buying or selling?
A lot of bad decisions, I would say. When people don't have that fear, they buy off of impulse. So I think the fear actually can be a good thing, and sometimes it makes you stop a little bit and actually think about the decision that you're making. Because home purchasing, purchasing a home, some people only do it once in a lifetime.
Very true.
So you don't want that to be as much of an impulse decision.
Very true.
So, it makes you stop and think about your finances, think about the decision that you make, because there are a lot of people that were making impulse purchases during the pandemic where they were buying houses without even going to see them. They were waiving inspections, just going off of photos. I mean, people were offering $50,000, $70,000 over asking price.
Wow.
There are people that we know within our circle that put in offers on like 15 different homes just because it was so competitive at the time. But with that came buyer's remorse. People were moved into places that they didn't do the necessary research, and they immediately wanted out of it. So there had been a phase where houses were coming on the market where the owner only had it for a year or two. And that's because they moved too fast.
Wow.
So yeah, sometimes fear can be good.
That's really good, because I feel like then fear is not something that we just need to want to get away from. It's something that it actually could provide like parameters for us in our decision making.
Put guardrails up, like when you go bowling and you got the bumpers, keep you from going in the gutter.
Yes, I love those.
Keep you from. But sometimes fear can be stifling.
Absolutely.
There are people now that they are in so much fear that they're missing out on great deals and great opportunities that can actually be advantageous for them and their family. A lot of investors love recessions and love downtimes when the market is lower, because they're able to get more properties, from the investment standpoint. So if you are a consumer that's looking for your future home for your family, there are different programs where you can get a fixer-upper, but you're going to get it at a way better rate than you would if you were to wait, hoping that, interest rates are going to go down, which they may. But now the property that you got for, we'll stick at the 300,000 mark, it's probably going to be 400, 450.
Oh, wow.
Especially if an investor gets in it and does the work to it to bring the property value up. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So sometimes fear can be a good thing, but it also can really hurt you. And then you look back like, man, I wish I pulled the trigger.
Absolutely.
So you got to have a good balance.
Balance is the key. Balance is definitely the key.
For sure.
What would you say to somebody that is right now, they want to purchase a home, they want to start that process? What is the first thing that they need to be thinking about that they probably wouldn't know that they need to be thinking about?
A lot of people that I talk to are actually more ready than they think. Right?
I love that.
Because I run into a lot of people that'll reach out to me for rentals. And I've noticed it's harder to get a rental in some situations than it is to purchase a home. A lot of these landlords are asking for 3 times the rent.
Absolutely.
Hey, that's what they want to see you make.
Absolutely.
So if you're looking at a property that's 1 bathroom, 1 bed, and it's $2,000 a month.
Absolutely.
Welcome to Chicago. So they're expecting you to make $6,000.
Absolutely.
But for $2,000 a month, you can have a home that's more square footage, more bedrooms, and there are different programs where you can get assistance with down payments. The Illinois Housing Association offers like some down payment programs, things of that nature. So some people are a little more ready than they think they are. The number one thing is, make sure that your credit is straight the best you can. Okay. A lot of people don't even know what's on their credit report that can actually be hurting them. Like some people think that a credit card may be closed, and it's actually not. You have like an outstanding $300 balance, but that $300 is hurting your credit.
That's so good.
So some people really just need to pull your free credit report off of, annualfreecreditreport.com and see what's on there. Maybe some addresses that aren't yours, some cars that you thought were paid off that you need to take care of. I had a buddy that still had a car on there that he thought was paid off, and he only owed like $100. But they stopped billing him for it. They didn't care anymore, but it's still on his report, and it was negatively impacting him. So the number one thing is pull your report and do what you can to clean that up as best as possible, because even though interest rates are going down, if you're below 600, it's going to be hard for you to get a house.
Got it.
Even though there are programs to assist,
it'll still be difficult.
Yeah.
Right. Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. That time flew by. We are already out of time. But real quick, tell the people again who you are, how they can contact you for your services if they're trying to make a good move.
Well, my name is Michael Wandland again. You can find me on all social media platforms: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, as Contractor Mike _ on Facebook. I do have a page dedicated specifically for real estate, and that's just Real Estate with Michael Wandland. But yeah, look me up. I'm out there.
Awesome, and thank you so much again for joining me tonight.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you for the invite.
Absolutely.
I'm Darius Hillman, inviting you to join me for the series premiere of Chicago Noir, the news magazine that highlights and showcases the African American experience in the Windy City. Tune in each month on CAN TV Cable Channel 19 or stream live on cantv.org or on the CAN TV Plus app. Elevated conversation and storytelling. Experience the power of community television.
Welcome to the Coaching Corner, where we talk about real life challenges and offer coaching strategies that not only improve your life, but also connect you to a deeper purpose. And today's episode, I'm sure is going to resonate with so many of you, especially those that are navigating high performance fields where sometimes you feel like you're not enough despite all that you've accomplished. I want to talk to you about a young woman that reached out to me by the name of LaTanya. She's a bright young woman working in the tech industry, leading projects, driving innovation. But here's the catch. Despite her proven success, she's been struggling with a sense of inadequacy. It's what we call imposter syndrome. But before we dive into today's coaching session, I want us to take a moment and define what I mean when I say imposter syndrome. It's that inner voice that whispers to you, I don't belong here, or I'm not good enough. Even when everything around you is saying otherwise, it's like there's a gap between what you've achieved and what you believe you deserve. Does that sound familiar? Maybe some of you watching feel this way in your own lives, even if the outside world sees your success. Well, today we're going to tackle imposter syndrome head on. And I'm going to share with you 3 experience-proven coaching tips that not only will help LaTanya, but it will help you move from doubt to confidence. And we'll dive deeper into some little known spiritual principles too that I want to offer to give you some insight into how we can conquer this mindset. All right, so let's jump right into this. All right, tip number 1, reframe your self-perception. I was talking to LaTanya and she mentioned that no matter how many projects that she successfully completed, there was this nagging feeling that maybe you're just lucky or you're fooling everyone. But that is imposter syndrome at work. One of the most important steps in overcoming it is learning to reframe your self-perception. I want to start with this simple exercise, and if you're watching me at home, you can do this too. I want you to think about one recent achievement that you're proud of. Just one, not a whole laundry list, just give me one, all right? Now, rather than thinking of all the ways it could have gone wrong or how others could have done it better, I want you to focus on what you did to make it a success. How did you contribute uniquely to that win? Think about that. Now, you can take time after this episode and do this exercise as often as you need to, because it will help shift and reframe your perception. Because often imposter syndrome comes from overemphasizing what we lack rather than recognizing what we bring. It's about shifting your focus from inadequacy to ability. Here's a spiritual perspective you may not have considered before. In Psalm 139:14, it says, "I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made." When was the last time you looked in the mirror and actually believed that? This isn't just some poetic Christian scripture. It's a reminder that you that are watching, LaTanya, and everyone watching, you are gifted with unique gifts and talents. And reframing your perception is about aligning your view of yourself with how God sees you. Someone wonderfully made, someone capable, someone that's been purposed. So I want you to take a moment each day to reflect on what you've accomplished, but don't do it through the lens of doubt. I want you to do it through the truth of your intrinsic value, because it's all about reframing your perception. All right, that's tip number 1. Let's jump into tip number 2. Embrace vulnerability as strength. Whew. I mean, if I was sitting in front of LaTanya right now, I would tell her a lot of people who struggle with imposter syndrome try to handle everything on their own because they are afraid of asking for help. They're afraid that it's going to expose their weaknesses. Does that sound like something that you may have experienced a time or two? You've likely avoided asking questions in meetings, or you've tried to fix everything yourself to prove that you belong, right? I mean, if I'm honest, I've been there, so I'm telling you I get it, all right? But here's the truth. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's strength. One of the most powerful shifts you can make in your career and in your life is learning to embrace vulnerability as a sign of courage. When you ask for help or admit that you don't know everything, it doesn't undermine your capabilities. In fact, it actually amplifies it. There's a spiritual lesson here too that we often overlook. It's in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9. Paul shares this profound insight. It is one I really hold near and dear to me in all actuality. He says that my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Man, think about that. When you acknowledge your areas of struggle, you create a space for grace, both for others and for God. And in that grace, there is room for growth and strength that you may not have ever tapped into on your own. In the tech world that LaTanya happens to be working in, collaboration and teamwork are essential. And leaning on your team when needed doesn't show inadequacy. It actually shows leadership. It means that you're willing to grow and learn and create better outcomes. And to be honest, that is true strength. All right, you ready for tip number 3? Hope you're writing this down, taking notes, because I want this to help all of you that are struggling with this. So tip number 3, silence the inner critic with truth. I want you to really let that sink in. Now, this last one might hit home for many of you, silencing that inner critic. I personally dealt with that for years and years and years and years. So I get it. I know it's not something easy to handle and grapple with, but you can do it. I believe in you. All right. And Latanya, I want you to know that you're not alone. Because when it comes to that little voice inside that constantly says you're not good enough or you don't deserve this success, that voice can be loud. It can be persistent. It can even be convincing. But here's the good news. It actually doesn't speak the truth. One of the most powerful strategies to deal with the inner critic is to start actively replacing lies with truth. It sounds simple, but it is a profound shift to make. Let me give you a practical example. The next time your mind starts racing with thoughts like, oh, I'm going to fail, or I'm not smart enough, or immediately I want you to stop. Just right there, dead in your tracks, just stop right there and ask yourself, what's the truth in this situation? What about this is actually true? All right? Here's a spiritual principle for you. In Philippians 4, chapter 4, verse 8, actually, it says, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. This isn't just positive thinking, it's a discipline of mind. You must train yourself to focus on what is true, what is good, what is affirming. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to start by writing down 3 truths about yourself and your achievements. Things that you know deep down, these are real. I really did this. Like, I really qualified for this role. I really did contribute valuable ideas in that staff meeting. Man, I really do belong in this space. And then after you write it down, I want you to take a moment and just speak those truths out loud. Just say them out loud, because there's something very powerful about words. Because, you know, words spoken out loud are more powerful than even your thoughts. So just say it out loud. Let that drown out the noise of that self-doubt and that little voice in your head. And I want you to remember, your worth is not determined by your last success or even your last failure. It's actually rooted in something much deeper. Your inherent value as a person, a value that, if we're being honest, no job title, no accomplishment can really define that for you. You carry it every single day of your life. So Latanya, and all of you that's watching, that's fighting to overcome imposter syndrome, I want you to know that overcoming it, it's not about pretending it doesn't exist. No, it's about facing it with new tools. And if you will harness these tools, you can change and transform your life. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
On the next edition of The Compassionate Competitor, I'll sit in conversation with former University of Illinois football player turned coach, Chris James.
It might seem like you're down, but all you gotta do is keep battling.
Join the conversation on CAN TV Cable Channel 19 or stream live on cantv.org or on the new CAN TV Plus app. Elevated conversation and storytelling. Experience the power of community television.
Okay, I hope you all have been enjoying tonight's show. And this week I want to wrap it up by talking to you about something that burns deeply within each of us. It's the discovery of your God-given dream and the relentless pursuit of it. Every one of us has a dream placed in our hearts by God Himself. It's that vision, that fire that keeps you awake at night, that whisper of purpose that echoes in your soul. This dream isn't just a fleeting thought or temporary desire. It's a divine assignment, uniquely crafted for you by the one who created you. I want you to understand several things tonight. Number one, your dream is part of God's plan. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." You see, your dream is part of God's greater plan. God's plan has always been bigger than what you can imagine. Sometimes we literally just think too small, limited by our circumstances or our own insecurities. We question whether we have what it takes to make a dream a reality. But I want to remind you tonight that if God gave you the dream, He also equipped you with everything you need to fulfill it. Point number 2 for you. You must overcome the obstacles on the path. Pursuing your God-given dream is not going to be easy because you're going to face obstacles. You're going to face doubts. You're going to have fears and opposition and setbacks. But I want to encourage you with this truth. Every great dream will be tested. But those tests are not meant to stop you. They're meant to strengthen you. James 1:2-4 tells us, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." Every hurdle you face on the road to your dream is building your perseverance, your faith, and your character. Next point for you is God doesn't want you to pursue your dream half-heartedly. He wants you to have a relentless pursuit. He wants you to chase it with all of your might. I mean, pursue it relentlessly. Colossians says, "Whatever you do, work at it with all of your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters." And this relentless pursuit, it means saying yes to the hard work, yes to the sacrifices, yes to stepping out in faith, even when you don't see the whole path ahead. It means being willing to fail. Ouch. It actually means being willing to try again and to keep moving forward, even when it doesn't make sense. But let me remind you, God has never called you to walk this journey alone. He goes before you. He walks beside you. He prepares the way ahead of you. And as Philippians reminds us, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Ready for the next point? Your dream is for others. I want you to remember that. Your God-given dream isn't just for you. It's for others. God is trying to use your life. He's trying to use your trials and your stories of your life. He's trying to use your dream to bless those around you. The dream He's placed in you, it's a solution to a problem in this world. So together, let's rise up with boldness, with faith, and with relentless pursuit. Because with God, all things really are possible. And your dream is worth every step of the journey. Thank y'all for joining me this evening. And I want God to bless you as you chase your God-given dream. Enjoy your week. And remember that transformation in your life is often on the other side of a critical conversation.